Hello again, whiskey friends. Welcome back to the Whiskey Riff Lounge. My name's Kelsey. Hey, we're going to jump into some MICHTER'S Barrel Strength Rye. Now, I know that Darrell's reviewing the same bottle, so it'll be interesting to see the different takes on this. But let's go ahead and get to the quick review for you. Thanks you guys so much for all your support. All right, guys, welcome back. So, again, we are going to be jumping into some MICHTER'S Barrel Strength Rye today. Now, this is at 109.6, at least my batches. So, shout out to my buddy Ty, who let me borrow his bottle to do this review. Fresh cracked this thing. So, let's get into the nose in just a second. But as we go through this, I did score this, and I'll go kind of through that score system in just a minute. But I wanted to say up front that I typically love MICHTER'S ryes. They're typically sweet, and it's a really good experience. So let's see if it's worth the value. That's the big part for most people, is the value of this bottle. Is it worth the $165 to $195? Let's check it out. Cheers, whiskey friends. Okay, this has been sitting out about 20-25 minutes. The longer it sits, the sweeter it gets. Getting lots of caramel right up front. I mean, lots and lots. A little bit of barrel char notes coming through on the oak. And then the sweetness of the caramel is also accentuated with just a little bit hint of the star of anise licorice note that I kind of get, which I think is more of the rye spice. A little bit of spearmint, but not a lot. So let's go in for the taste. Let's see how this thing stacks up. Cheers. So up front, real sweet. Caramel is the main component that I get up front. There's a little bit of that oak up front, but not much. Not really any rye spice up front per se off of the first sip. One thing that I like about MICHTER'S, though, is that it's super easy and approachable to drink. I love the regular, straight rye that's, on the shelf. But to me, my favorite that they do is the toasted barrel strength rye. So they take this and they toast it. It's like a s'mores candy. It's so good. But on this one, first sip up front, impression-wise, was just real sweet. Then it kind of moves mid-palate. I do like the consistency of the mouthfeel. It's got a really creamy mouthfeel to it. So let's go in for a second sip and see how consistent this stays. Cheers, whiskey friends. Okay, let's talk about the mid-palate. So it does coat pretty well. I will say that on the second sip, the mid-palate kind of explodes with more of that oak and of the rye spice that's coming through, the peppery notes, or as I call it, the tingling in my tongue, is getting right in the center of your tongue and mid-palate. So overall, pretty consistent from sip 1 and 2. Let's go in for the final sip, and let's look at this finish and see how it stacks up. So on this finish, it's medium. I would say that it probably goes into more of that oak note, mid to late palate. And then it finishes with that continued sweet oak. There's nothing off-putting about this oak profile at all. If you don't like oaky ryes or like a lot of oak on your whiskey, you're gonna like this. Now, I think the biggest stigmatism for this bottle will be the cost. So I think this ranges anywhere from I think the cheapest I've ever seen it would be $145, and that may have been last year, but $165 to $195 typically is where I see these retail wise. So the question is it worth it? We'll get to that in just a second. I want to kind of walk through, we did the front of the palate, the mid palate, and the finish. Jeff has us do all these spreadsheets because he's a numbers guy for every bottle that we rank. So this rated at an 82 out of 100. Overall, I think it was the palate that stood out the most. The nose was really nice. It's really sweet, but there's not a lot of depth to it. Now, we'll say the palate doesn't truly match up to that. It actually is a little bit more bold with the palate. You get the sweetness up front, the rye spice and the oak in the middle, and then finishing with that oak. So overall, really good score, but is it worth it? So let's get into that. So barrel strength rye that's non-age stated. We don't know how old it is. We don't know where it comes from because MICHTER'S sources their whiskey, and we don't know if that's being sourced or if it's their stuff. I don't know, to be honest with you, if anybody really knows the truth. I'd be interested if you guys know for sure, if I've heard anything, because I haven't heard anything since we got into whiskey about where they're sourcing their stuff from. I would tend to think that it's going to be somewhere closer to Indiana, just the proof point of this rye being at like 109, and they're typically, or they're going in at a lower proof on their ryes and their whiskeys. Either way, we really don't know. But going back to the price point, so you're looking at a non-age stated rye, 109 proof. It drinks really well. It's approachable, but the thing I would say about this particular bottle is, for me, value-wise, I think I would rather lean towards the Jack. Now, Jack barrel proof picks, I can find these for like 75 to 80 bucks. And so you're looking at less than half the price. And those things can be absolute hitters. Most of them have a really bold profile. So if you like that type of a profile, it's still sweet, but it's not overly rye. Neither is this. But for the comparison of the value, in my opinion, again, this is my opinion. We'll see what Darrell thinks about this too, because I know he's reviewing it. But it's first MICHTER'S bottle, and that's the one that you found. Great, get it. If you're a MICHTER'S fan and you've got several bottles you want to compare it to, absolutely, I think it's worth a buy. If you're a first time, really wanting to find a good value for what you're getting, I would go with the JD Rye, Hard Truth, all of those cask strength ryes that, in my opinion, are a better experience overall for your value. So with that being said, guys, this was my quick review of the barrel strength rye. We want to thank you, all of our patrons, for all the support, but also to you guys who are watching. Make sure you click and subscribe if you are not. It really helps the channel. And tell me what you guys think in the comments. JD Rye or MICHTER'S barrel strength rye? What is your favorite and why? And let's, I may do a comparison again on another video after this opens up a little bit and Ty lets me drink a little bit more of his bottle. We'll see. But anyway, thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll see you soon.
Jeff, just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these